this is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Oh. Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Hello racing fans and welcome to Mount Panorama Bathurst, welcome to Simspeed TV and welcome to a championship finale in Ozicar. 3 drivers with a chance at the title. One night of racing at Australia's most famous, most challenging motor racing circuit for an inaugural Ozicar F4 Championship. It's been amazing racing all season long in this car. It's been so exciting, thrilling, gripping and challenging for our drivers with the way that this F4 car can be so quick through the corners, slipstream so strongly down the straights. Navigating the mayhem has brought them to this point. David Haynes here with you, with Jason Fewens, Jay Kennedy, producing all of our pictures, all of our replays and all of the goodness to come here. Well, Jason, we know this circuit well. A lot of racing fans around the country and around the world do, but tell us about it.
Yeah, so Bathurst is really part of the integral part of the racing scene here within Australia, and really it's no better fitting way to finish off the Ozicar Formula 4 season than this treacherous track. It's very, very unforgiving. There is concrete walls, doesn't matter which way you look and which way you turn. If you run a little bit wide, you are going to come to grief. So you can see the track on your screen at the moment. Consists of 23 different corners. It is 6.213 kilometres from start to finish. And tonight we will be circulating, I think it is 9 laps over 2 different heats. So plenty of action coming our way. There is some critical corners up at the cutting. Also McPhillamy Park down through the S's. Forest Elbow is going to be absolutely critical with that big long run onto Conrod Straight, because the slipstream along here into the chase can really make or break your lap. So plenty of action to come, and Bathurst very rarely fails to deliver it, and we're expecting big things tonight.
Absolutely agree. A circuit that will challenge you all by yourself, but a car and a field that will challenge all of our drivers as they try to navigate the slipstream down that very, very long Conrod Straight and up Mountain Straight. This is the points standings coming into our finale here. Thomas Hinz from James Chastanoff from Cam Dance, our 3 drivers in the hunt for an Aussie car title. See Donald Sabanel, Brody Shepherd, Nathan Verney, Sean Doyle, Stuart Verne, Benjamin Wheeler and Ira Felberg as our top 10. And I think Nathan Verney and his teammate, their contribution will have sealed up the team's championship for Locked On Lads. They're our key title rivals, not really in the team's championship, but their eyes on that driver's championship. Like you said, Jason, 2 races ahead of us, 20 minutes or 9 laps, and you can't afford to make too much of a mistake in that first race, because its finishing order is going to set the grid for race number 2 as well.
Yeah, it's going to be critical for these front runners to keep a clean car, and it's easier said than done around here. We've seen in a few circuits leading into this final event a couple of less difficult tracks claim some victims of those top 3 drivers. So I think there'll be a couple of different race strategies depending on where you are inside those top 3, but no doubt there'll be plenty of competition on, and plenty of challenges that are willing to mix it up with these top 3 as well.
Qualifying has been completed. The grid is set for our first of 2 races, and our championship contenders are your top 3 on the grid. It couldn't be any closer than this. James Chastanoff from Thomas Hinz from Cam Dance, all covered by underneath 0.2 of a second around their qualifying laps of this 6.2 kilometre circuit. We've got Liam Banks, Brody Shepherd and Luke Kvist for our top 3 rows. Scott Harvey, Russell Clark, Sean Doyle, David Baz, Dennis Hancock and Darren Shannon through to 12th place. Still more than 20 cars on the grid after 24 weeks of waiting for this finale. Warren Henry, Andrew Ritchie, Tristan Moore. There's Nathan Verney, Ben Wheeler, Brody Tressida. So here, and your last drivers for the qualifying time, John Snell and Ira Felberg. Still might see Darren Lesueur and Philip Howe take to the grid. Jason, it just shows how difficult even qualifying by yourself is around this circuit.
Yeah, I was doing quite a few laps leading into this event, and the difference between a full tank of fuel and an empty tank of fuel here can be quite a bit in your lap speed and your overall time, as well as your commitment through some of these corners. So there can be a big gap difference between the front of the field and the rear of the field, but there's going to be plenty of action in between, no doubt.
Race 1, the field are ready, the drivers are ready, and we are ready. Start procedure underway. Lights on. And lights out, we go racing, and it is a good jump from your pole sitter, James Chastanoff. Kins almost already under attack. Dan's looking to get down the inside from third on the grid, and those two cold tires, super slippery stuff, battling side by side through turn number 1. You love that if you're James Chastanoff. We love to watch these championship contenders battle up Mountain Straight. Liam Banks, he knows what's at stake, but he also wants a little part of this as well. He'll just roll out a little bit. Kins take this one back with the inside into Griffin's Bend, washes out a little bit wide, almost past the crown of the road and out of the camber. Tyres still warming up, and that is a man knows what's at stake and knows any mistake in either of these two races pretty well ends your championship hopes.
Yeah, as they make their way up the hill for the first time, the tyres should be getting relatively warm as they make their way across the top of the mountain before they get ready for the decline down through the S's, make their way to Forest Elbow. But we jump on board with Cam Dance, we can see him in his car, bottom right-hand corner. So the focus is on the back of Thomas Hinds, the car in front, while our leader, James Chastanoff, has taken out just on a 1 second gap for the first half. So he is wasting no time trying to stamp a little bit of dominance early on in this race.
When they come out of that elbow at the bottom of the S's here, Chastanoff will be hoping to be far enough clear. A little lock-up, the elevation change in the circuit doing that, and Chastity loses out a couple tenths there. Hinds will not be broken in the slipstream. He'll look to follow whichever way Chastity goes. Liam Banks pulling out of the slipstream a little bit there. It's Brody Shepherd in the full send car who might look to challenge him. Our top 3 for the title, still our top 3 on track, and that slipstream doing what it does. Extra 5 kilometers an hour for Thomas Hinds as it helps him walk down the gap to James Chastanoff at the lead. The rest of the field all very cleanly through the opening lap, it must be said. They know what we know, that a DNF in this race will see you starting from the back of the grid in race number 2.
Yeah, it looks like everybody is going to make their way around, complete lap number 1 nice and clean. It is single file as they make their way across the finish line. I can't see anybody going too wide at this stage of the race, so it's follow the leader and Indian file as they make their way back up Mountain Straight for the second time. Looks like Hinds has closed that gap just a little bit. It's on the half a second now, so he's well and truly got the toe of James Chastanoff as they make their way up the hill. The cars get a little bit light just as they go over the crest before they dive down here into turn number 2. It's a fast 4th gear corner as they make their way through, letting the ground force work of these cars do all the work, climbing up the hill now towards what is a very, very tricky, quick left-hander before they start to climb up again for lap number 2.
Riding on board with Scott Harvey as he pursues Luke Quist. Oh, and the drama for Liam Banks. He's in the fence. He's got damage, and he spins out of the way. Everyone else cleanly through, it looks. But for Liam Banks, put a blanket over that Honts and put it down, potentially. That is a big, big issue for him at the cutting. What happens? Trying to keep up with the top 3. Right in behind him, Brody Shepherd, but for Banks, the rear just gets a little loose on the exit. He spins it by himself, finds the nice little place to park it, if we're honest.
Yeah, well and truly off the racing line, so it wasn't going to cause grief for anybody else coming up through that part of the track. It can be tricky if you're in the middle of the track there and you have a field of cars coming through, because it is a very, very difficult spot to turn around. Meanwhile, back at the front of the race, things are getting pretty interesting. Thomas Hinds pulling out all stops now. He is as close as he has been from the moment the lights went green, actually pulling out to have a look to pass our race leader, James Chastanoff, as they go 2 wide into the braking zone, into the chase, and we have a new race leader.
Yeah, Hin's going for the lead, tidy into the chase. Your key overtaking opportunity in these cars. The slipstream doing its work. So it's on the burner, and this race is coming towards a boil. Immediately, Chastanov looks to strike back, forces Hin's a little bit around the wide line, keeps Cam Dance right in this, and they're costing themselves a little bit of time. Hin's holds on to the race lead after Liam Banks has spun out. It helps close that gap to the next group of cars. Shepherd, Quist, Scott Harvey, David Baz, all in picture. There's the 69 of Brody Tressiter, and there's dramas for Andrew Ritchie.
Yeah, it's going a little bit too hot into turn number 1. Coming stuck and found himself out in the gravel. So managing to make a re-entry there nice and clean without too much dramas. But this VRS replay will show exactly what's happened. He's battling with a teammate, Darren Shannon, going into turn number 1. So quick look down the inside. And there has been contact between the two teammates. They pulled a Red Bull. And they're both out in the gravel.
Rule number 1. My goodness, it's unfortunate. Luckily, that's one of the places you're not immediately into the wall. Both of them look to have gotten away with it. Now here's Chastanov back into the lead, taking it away from Hins. So up Mountain Straight. These cars have got a little bit of horsepower, but enough at up Mountain Straight you can also look to strike back. Chastanov's done it. Now he leads the field down the hill. The dipper looks like it'd rattle your spine in these cars. You sit so low to the ground. And this is from Scott Harvey, Luke Quist, at Brody Shepherd, who has, I think, gotten through there. No, he still sits in 4th. Side by side, down Conrod Straight here for Harvey and Baz. Baz in the orange machine will be around the outside of the kink, but then the inside for the braking zone. These cars comfortably close to flat out, no dramas through the kink, but then Baz successful under brakes, it looks like.
So while the 3 leaders out in front, Chastanov, Hins and Dance, have been tripping over each other, they've basically thrown out an invitation for Shepherd and Quist to join the party. So a lap ago it was a battle for the lead for 3. We are now looking for 5 cars battling for the top 3DM positions, and a couple of little good battle packs forming behind them as well. So the fight's not over. It's not just on for the podium. This is 6, 7, 8 and 9. It's Baz, Harvey, Clark and Doyle all going at it at the moment. Harvey there pulling out to the left-hand side. Got a good run out of turn number 1. He's going to find himself on the outside as they make their way down Mountain Straight. It's going to be a game move to try and hold it on the outside through here.
Here's your double file 2x2. Baz definitely in the place you want to be, and that's what happens when you go around the outside. It's dirty, it's off camber, there is just no grip away from the apex curb. Scott Harvey finds out and manages to only just keep it out of the wall. 2x2 up into the cutting really ends well. How will it go for this group of drivers led by Brody Tressiter? Dennis Hancock follows him in, but it's still side by side. Verney and Moore. Verney where I'd want to be. Moore absolutely committed around the outside there, keeps it out of the wall, takes that spot away. That one particular iRacing spectator loves it.
We jump on board. This is the front view from Sean Doyle looking forward onto David Baz. This is mounted on his front wing, and you can see the car sliding and dancing around as they make their way down the hill under brakes back to second. Quite a quick turn into Forest Elbow before that critical run onto Conrod Straight, and this is where we're really going to see the draft take effect. Nathan Verney is doing everything he needs to at the moment to stick on the back of Baz, but this looks like Andrew Ritchie possibly coming to grief again on 2 laps in succession. Just a little bit of a clip on the wall. I have a feeling there's more to follow.
That exit curb, no. Over Skyline we go with Andrew Ritchie. He has a big wobble there and it loses the rear, but the car might have already been just a little bit bent in the steering from earlier on, and it's looped on him at a place in the racetrack where there is no room for error and no place to save that car, unfortunately, for Ritchie. And he, I think, becomes our first retirement potentially. He might get back out there. Liam Banks has gotten back out there. This is up front. We start lap 5. Chastanov tiny margin over Hinz. Dance right with them, even pulling out of the slipstream. I think he's just thinking about the last lap here, letting the front two battle. Shepherd and Quist still with the leading group as well. Potential to play some spoiler in the championship battle. They're absolutely entitled to go for the best result they think they can get.
You see Dance is pulling out of the slipstream, and I think that might have been trying to avoid giving the battle pack of Shepherd and Quist his draft as well, going down Mountain Straight. So this won't be the first time we've seen Cam Dance play a rather strategic game plan throughout the race. Just sit back and let the front two trip over themselves as it will, and potentially save himself some tyres for the end of the race when it really counts. So we've seen it before, and I'd suggest that's probably how he's playing this one out as well.
Said super low slung car, real challenge with the elevation change in places around here, particularly at the dipper there. And it's trying to follow a smooth, tight line between all of the concrete apexes. Chastanov moves one side of the road. Hinz doesn't bite. Cam Dance will, though. This is real super speedway gamesmanship, the way this car wants to race down a long straight. Like Conrad, Chastity will still hold on to it. You feel there's a chance that being the first car in the pack isn't where you want to be at the start of the final lap.
The concentration on Thomas Hinz as he was watching the back of the car in front, but this battle between the cars behind the leading group at the moment is as intense as it has been. They cross the line with 4 laps to go, and David Baz still leading this one from Sean Doyle. Russell Clark in the green at number 11, and then we have Harvey in the car 222 at the back of the field. So he's recovered after his little hiccup up here at turn number 2 a couple of laps ago. He's still stuck to the back of him, which may not be a bad spot to be at this stage of the race.
David Baz all the way to the right-hand side of the circuit. He's seen what the rest of them have seen, that you want to be able to defend that inside into this corner if you need to. It's worth so much. Car around the outside cannot make the corner like the car on the inside. Hooks the camber, hooks the curb, and gets on with it. Mighty close when they come to the point here where Liam Banks loops it early on. So very, very close to flat out in these cars over this section. That's something that the F4 has in common with Hyundai XL Racing. Not many others.
It's just a quick lift of the throttle as they make their way through here, through Skyline, and make their way down the hill for the first time. And then it is hard on the brakes back down to 3rd or 4th gear. Change of direction. Looks like a bit of a clip of the wall there in the background as we see a bit of concrete dust.
Yeah, I think Doyle got just a tiny bit of the wall there and is so lucky to get away with it and not bring a couple of others down with him. We've seen that the car can look a bit unstable over Skyline there, and you're braking, turning, changing directions. You're asking so much of the car while you're going downhill as well. This is his perspective. 6th gear, mega speed at the top of the hill. Goes over here. It's a wobble. He has to get out of the brakes a little bit. It's in a bit hot there, and it causes a checkup. So I don't think he got the wall, but I think he didn't follow the line he wanted.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of more. Sorry, it looked like a little bit of brake block up there with David Baz, which is what we thought was concrete dust. But we're still on this VRS replay and make our way down into Forest Elbow again. Car 822 coming in all sorts of grief in the background. Tristan Moore facing the wrong way.
I think Hancock hit the outside wall there, and Moore loops it around. And Ira Felberg, I think it was, had to check up a little bit for him, but it didn't cause a pile-up. The track was not blocked. This is up front. Chastity, Hinz, and Dance, but Shepherd is getting in and amongst this. He's a lot closer than it feels like he was a lap or so ago, and Luke Quist staying in touch. So it's 1.2 seconds to cover 5 cars up front. Do or die on the final lap of this race number 1, but we know that it sets the grid for race number 2. You can't throw away a second or a third. It's not do or die just yet, is it?
No, there should be points accumulated from race number 1 going towards the championship. So there is points on offer as well as potentially a grid spot for race number 2. So plenty to play for here. So it's really a matter of playing it smart, keeping it clean. But Cam Dance at the moment has his eyes focused on front and probably one of his eyes focused on the rear because there's a lot of action happening behind.
Darren Shannon at the cutting, and there's a wheel off one of those cars that have come together at that part of the track. Oh, it's mighty congested on the way in, offline, wide, loses the rear. Does Shannon, I think, and Moore was right there, nowhere to go. Obviously, you are caged between the wall, both sides of the circuit.
Darren Shannon limping back to the pits, putting on a spark show, but at the front of the field, Chastanoff making his way through to complete yet another lap. He has Thomas Hinds, Cam Dance, Brody Shepherd and Quist, our top 5. So nothing's changed the last couple of laps, but plenty of pressure being applied.
Huge moment on the exit of the chase there for Russell Clark. He might have high-sided it, tobogganed it over the curb there. So easily done in these cars with 3 millimeters of ground clearance potentially. It was Baz and Doyle challenging into the chase. Yeah, close little moment for all of them there. They carry on to fight another day. You got a fight for your top 5. Behind that, you got this fight for your top 4. The Ozicar F4 season has been like this all season long, hasn't it, Jason? Just great fights, not just up front, all the way through the field.
And there's been some real mix of challenges as well. So some of the guys that don't tend to perform well at some tracks have really risen far and have found themselves battling for really good points throughout the course of the season. So it has given us a mix of some brilliant racing as well as really mixed up the championship points. Making the way across the top of the mountain. Looks like the car there of Quist may have just dropped off the back a little bit. He's about a second or so off the back of Brody Shepherd in P4. So he's got a little bit of work to do, but he's going to find himself in no man's land for the last lap of the race.
I think there are some fireworks being saved for this final lap. Have been relatively tame so far this race, our leaders. Hinds with the points advantage coming into this. Sandwiched in the middle of the key rivals, a second place would not be a bad result at all for him in this first race. You see him starting on the front row of the grid for the final race as well. All of them can't afford to crash out of this race. Hinds is looking for the lead, nose in front around the outside, just gets given space by Chastanoff, who knows his race also can't afford to get ended here. Dance has to be careful which way he goes. That is Hinds to the lead, and there's nothing to separate them as they're going to start the final lap of race 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't know whether you want to be on the lead, in the lead position going on to this final lap, but Thomas Hinds has taken the bull by the horns, got the bit in the mouth, and he is going for broke to try and stamp his dominance on this championship. It's out to 0.3 of a second. You see that little bit of a gap. Cam Dance in P3, just moving slightly left, having a bit of a look, making Chastanoff think that he's going to have a crack into turn number 2. So he dives right. Chastanoff finds himself on the racing line, but Dance is sticking it down the inside. Going to have a look. They go side by side, get good drive and plenty of respect being shown. This part of the track, I think they're going to have to succumb and go back to single file.
The stones on Chastanoff to hold it around the outside of Griffin's Bend. It's ended in carnage a little further back though. Sean Doyle with contact with Russell Clark, I think. He ends up in the wall. Come on, maybe later, because it's half a lap to go with 3 championship rivals, the top 3. Hinds, points leader, leads on circuit, but the slipstream down Conrod Straight is massive. Chastanoff, Dance, and even Brody Shepherd are going to give him no space to breathe, no respite on this final lap. The cars move about as they get almost airborne over the dip and no grip. And then they plant and they rip in the opposite direction through the elbow for the final time. Tire smoke in the air. Hinds leads by half a second. Is he safe? Will Chastanoff and Dance stomp on each other's feet? Dance is going to pull out, looking for second. He doesn't have the slipstream mode. Chastanov still following in the wheel tracks of Hinz. It's going to make it so close over second and third, and it might just save Hinz's bacon because Dance has to pull back in on the stoppers for the big stop here. Hinz gets in a little deep. He cuts some of the grass. So does Chastanov. Dance sits back in third. Is there a Hail Mary for Chastity here? He's not close enough. He knows it, and it looks like race one is going to extend the championship lead for Thomas Hinz.
Absolutely cracking race, and everything that the Ozicar F4 Series promised for race number one. That the top four cross the line, but there is plenty of battling happening in the background. This is Russell Clark making his way through, accompanied with, who's in the blue one, Dave? Help me out here.
Scott Harvey.
Scott Harvey, of course, so there it is after that incident a couple of laps ago. Further back on the field, car 23 and 72, Ira Felberg in the pink, going for the inside tight line, pulls the block move on the exit and crosses the line to secure a good result for him as well.
Talk about battles for everyone. No one has a boring race, it seems, in Ozicar F4, and the championship will go down to the wire in the final race in a three-way tussle for the inaugural Ozicar F4 Championship. Thomas Hinz came into this round a couple of points advantage to his name, pulled off a masterclass in race one to just put him one step closer to that cup. James Chastanov and Cam Dance, though, stay mathematically in the hunt down to the final race. Brody Shepherd rode with them all race. Fourth, Lukefist dropped back just a little bit and still bags the top five. In the four-way fight behind that, David Baz comes out clear of Russell Clark, and Scott Harvey will check in with happened to Hancock or Sean Doyle in a bit. Brody Tressiter and Nathan Verney completes the top 10.
We scroll over the page, Ira Felberg, they're just missing out on a top 10 result, but 11th is still a good points haul for him. John Snell following him across the line in car 23, before Warren Henry, Tristan Moore and Darren Lassou make up your top 15. Darren Shannon had all sorts of trouble out there. He managed to still finish on the lead lap despite only having three wheels at one point of the race in P16. And then it was Sean Doyle, Dennis Hancock and Andrew Ritchie again, of course, getting back out and staying on that lead lap. And then P20, the first of our cars off the lead lap, Ben Wheeler in car number 56. And Liam Banks 3 laps down, and Philip Howe unable to take the green light at the start of the race. So action aplenty, and that is just a sniff and a bit of a teaser for what's coming race.
Here was our battle over 6th place. So David Baz looking to defend from Doyle. Doyle around the outside gets a bit loose. Russell Clark and Scott Harvey have nowhere to go, and unfortunately they end it. Well, how exciting a race one that sets the stage for a race two where everything is still in play. Big thanks, of course, go to our partners who make the championship and the broadcast possible. Sim Racing League's Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, the Locked On iRacing podcast, and the No Social Hate campaign. Quick break here on Simspeed as we change gears and get ready for the final race of the final round of Ozicar Formula 4 Series.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in Enduro series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
Welcome back. One race left for Ozicar F4 in this season, the inaugural season. What a championship it has been. Comes down to three of our most consistent drivers, but to cast our mind back, there was a time we had a couple of good showings from Chaz Mostert in this championship and others as well. It's definitely drawn plenty of attention and created some great racing at all 12 rounds, Jason.
Yeah, we've had some big names and some of them that aren't actually here tonight as well. So there was Stuart Vaughan that was in there mixing it with a couple of the top contenders earlier in the season as well. So unfortunately we've lost him as the season's gone on, but it just really shows and highlights the depth and the quality that Ozicar Series is and the kind of reputation it's built to deliver such consistent and clean racing week after week.
They're about to grid up for race number 2. Of course, that grid is the finishing order of race number 1. Definitely meant there was some extra pressure, some extra stakes on a result in the first of the 2 races as it carried over into this final race. Once again, 9 laps. Going to line up now. We'll run over that grid again quickly. Standing start at Mount Panorama. The tail of the field not quite around the final corner, though that does seem to happen sometimes here. Hins with the championship lead, with the race 1 under his belt, and with the pole for race number 2. James Chastanoff, Cam Dance, Brody Shepherd, Luke Quist, and David Baz. The first 3 rows. And Russell Clark, Scott Harvey, Brody Tressida, Nathan Verney, Ira Felberg, John Snell. They're ready to go. It's 9 more laps of the mountain before a champion is crowned in Ozicar F4. And that's a pretty good launch from Chasty. A little bit too much wheel spin from Hinsey, but it's a short run in towards turn 1. And he covers it off. It's a long run up Mountain Straight.
Yeah, the leaders look like they're going single file. There is a bit of elbows out at the back of the field as they make their way through the exit of turn number 1. But going down over the hill for the first time. Cold tyres, these guys have to remember that they have just hopped out of a low fuel, warm tyre car, and they are now starting fresh and have to have a different mindset. So they've changed for the lead through turn number 2. Chastanoff taking the lead from Thomas Hims on the inside line. So we have James Chastanoff out the front. A championship leader in P2 and Cam Dance in P3. So P1 and P3 nothing to lose, and our championship leader sitting in P2 looking pretty comfortable at the moment.
Ripper move from Chastanoff to use that inside of Griffin's Bend. All the grip is back in a second. Cold tyres, they do got to be careful. The car will react even more unpredictably to the curbs, to the elevation change through here and at the dipper. York, pretty insane sometimes. They get loose and light and a bit free across the dipper and drop there. Always plenty of tyre smoke in the elbow.
Yeah, we make our way out of the forest elbow. Nathan Verney in P10. There's a bit of a gap to the cars behind him, so there may have been a little bit of car contact on the opening lap of the race, but the top 10 seem to have made a bit of a break for it at the moment. They are running single file down Comrade Straight and using their draft where they can to try and pull in the car in front. David Baz is under pressure there from Luke Quist in P5 and 6, just sitting off the back of the top 4 at the moment. So not a lot of name changes from race number 1, but the order is definitely mixed up a little.
Yeah, there's been a bit of change so far in the opening lap of this final race. Not only Chastanov going through into that lead, you've got Tristan Moore moving up some spots. Banks has made 4. He's always in the spot, predominantly pink, starting from the back of the field and now trying to fight forward. Turn 1 caused some drama in race 1. We get 3 wide, and can we do it safely? Will it end in tears? Aaron Shannon goes in front of John Snell. It's Doyle who has to pull back into line. Real chop across the nose there from Darren Shannon, as he knows he can't be hung out to dry around the outside, and then for Doyle will get in front of Snell as they run up towards the cutting.
Darren Shannon just putting a little bit of a gap on Doyle as he made that dominant move across the front of the nose of Doyle's car there. Looks like he's got a good run up the hill, but at the front of the field, Chastanov at the moment out at 4/10 of a second lead. We saw him do the same thing in race number 1 before the Cam Dance and Thomas Hinshaw reeled him back in. So Brody Shepherd and Baz sitting in P4-5 again. So again, a 5-car breakaway, bit of a gap back from Russell Clark. He's another 2.5 seconds behind the cars you see on the screen at the moment. So already, this early in the race, lap 2 of 9, we have a breakaway field of 5. Could almost be a repeat of what we saw in race number 1.
Gaining 5 cars at the leading group, the slipstream playing such a role. What the Cam Dance doing though? Hins pulls out of the slipstream, Dance just follows along behind him, playing a potentially really long game here. Again, Brody Shepherd in 4th, stays with the leaders, stays with the slipstream, watching it all unfold, and David Baz seems to go with them at the moment. There's action back here. Liam Banks still trying to carve through the field. Side by side with John Snell. I think he gets that one done. We'll then be looking to size up. Oh, we'll be looking to spin again in the final corner, and now tangled with John Snell. Can the two of them get free without massive damage? I think there is damage on the Banks car. The rear suspension is just hanging in. I thought the car was crabbing a bit. Got in a bit too hot. Lost the rear early.
The lead out front, still 5 cars, Chastanov leading him, leading Dance, leading Shepherd, leading Baz. The top 5 cars separated by right on 1 second. So basically shadowing each other's move as they make their way up the hill. This is lap number 3 of 9, so we are quickly ticking through the laps. They do go for just over a 2-minute sequence, but around Bathurst there is not a lot of time to stop, take your breath and smell the roses, because even down Conrod Straight you're watching your mirrors, because the slipstream on these Formula 4 downforce cars is quite proficient. So you haven't really got a lot of time to take a breath before you're hard on the brakes again and chase it.
Indeed, a lot of pressure here. Slipstreaming just cannot get away if you're the leader. What do the top 3 choose to do this time? Hinds has been playing this weird game again, not wanting to follow in the slipstream, and that creates a weird conundrum for Dance in 3rd as to who he follows, who he tries to slipstream, how he tries to attack. Is he going to try to attack so close here into the chase? And he doesn't go for it once again. Taking a look at a replay. It is Tristan Moore come undone in this part of track earlier. There's the dipper coming to the elbow point, to the apex. Rear snaps away on him, doesn't make too heavy contact with the wall, manages to some pretty nifty reverse driving to position it away from everyone else is, and a cute little grass flick. I rate that an 8 out of 10, honestly. Not bad, all things considered.
Yeah, pretty tidy in the scheme of things. He managed to keep it off the wall. He still got a straight car. Did lose some track time, but more importantly, still in the race. So we focus off the replay back at the front of the race again now. Chastanoff, Hinds, Dance. Half a second separating those three. Make their way up into turn number 3. They look like they're going single file, climbing up the hill. It's a third gear climb as they make their way up through here. Chastanoff just leaning on that accelerator pedal a bit more, pulling more of a gap. But as they make their way down the hill, I think Thomas Hinds definitely has the ability to reel him back in and be on the underside of that rear wing before they hit Forest Elbow.
Bit of cloud comes across the circuit. Cam Dance pushes a little wide and straddles that curb, something that's so difficult to do in these cars. It'll upset them more than a GT or a touring car. How low the F4 car sits to the ground. Loading out of the elbow one more time, sharply downhill, picking up the speed, and with the speed comes the drag, with the drag comes the slipstream, and it's decisions once again as Chastanoff wants to cover the right, Hinds just follows the racing line, and Dance isn't quite sure what to do, almost pretty clearly banging the limiter in 6th as they slipstream, as they run downhill and they go through the fastest corner in Australian motorsport.
Had to look at Thomas Hinds there. You can see the focus in his eyes. He's fixated on the back of the BAR Formula 4 car in front. Lucky in love, and he would love to walk away with this championship here tonight. So currently P2. He may not have to win this, but I don't think that's going to stop him from trying.
A little bit further back. The twist was under pressure from Scott Harvey. Griffin's Bend. Want the inside. Harvey gets in, gets a little bit of the curb. Both of them wanted the inside. Both of them wanted to be on the crown. And there was only space for one. It seemed both of them have to go through pits for repairs in this final race.
So we're on lap 5 of 9. We are past the halfway point already. David Baz looking a little bit squirrely on the exit. Just a couple of tenths off the back of this group now. So James Chastanoff, Thomas Hinds, Cam Dance, nothing has changed for the last 4 or 5 laps. There has been plenty of moving around, darting around. Line games are being played very strategically here at the moment between these drivers. Shepherd is in this for a podium. He is going to be keen as mustard to really mix up this championship and potentially steal some points away from the top 3 drivers.
Definitely a possibility for him. Going to get as close as he can to that apex wall, track it all the way out. You know, point your radio antenna like a targeting sight at the gearbox of the car in front to follow them directly. Again, not what Hinds is doing, but he's still almost overlapping Chastanoff. He's almost going to get a bump draft from Dance there. Nothing to separate your top 3, almost nothing to separate your top 4. Few laps remaining past the halfway point in this final race. Chastity still leads it.
Yeah, you can't write any one of these 5 drivers on your screen off. They've all shown really, really good pace throughout the season. We have a number of previous Aussie Car Championship holders within this little group as well, so they know what it takes and what needs to be done to walk away with the chocolates at the end of a season. 12 long weeks in this Aussie Car Formula 4 season, inaugural Formula 4 season at that, and I'm sure Thomas Hinds would love to take away the name on the trophy for the first time, but there's a couple of drivers out there that are doing their absolute best to try and stop that from happening.
It is all for the chocolates in this final race, and there's some pretty tasty chocolates. Not only the Prestige Trophy up for grabs, it sits nicely next to your sim rig or wherever you want to put it, but also Formula Ford driving experience at Sydney Motorsport Park, Eastern Creek, to our championship winner. So that's mighty nice as well. Those two alongside each other very nicely. And we'll go to whoever our champion is at the moment. Hin's doing all he needs to protect that championship lead. So he remains in second. He just doesn't want a DNF at all, and that's potentially why he sat here in second, and followed Chastanov. Chastanov a little wide at the dipper. Baz super wide at the dipper. He gets the concrete wall. 5th place. How bad's the damage on the orange machine?
Doesn't look too terminal at the moment, but in the straight line, it'll really play a hold. Looks like it is actually crabbing, so he's having all sorts of trouble to keep that in a straight line. Very little he can do other than to see the drivers in front peel away. So we've been told a mechanical black flag by David Baz. More crabbing going on in the background. This is Andrew Ritchie. He's hugging the concrete fence. VRS replay will show us exactly how things have unfolded here. Teammates again, I hate to say it.
It's a lot of speed in. It's done almost exactly what Baz did. It's just a bit too much speed. The car then doesn't turn. It gets the wall beyond it. That car has suffered some serious suspension problems. Baz didn't end up in quite so dramatic of a spin, but that's what he did in the sort of dirty air of the 4 preceding cars.
Richie almost pulled off a pirouette, so I think we need to put our pass the hat around and pull out a little tutu for him. He managed to pull that off with a great degree of dignity. Baz leaving the pits, getting his mechanical black flag repaired, so he is back out still circulating. I don't know whether Andrew quite so lucky he managed to take back to the pits and find himself further down the field. But a lap ago we had 5 contenders for the lead. We are now down to 4 away. But more importantly, 3 of those 4 are in for the championship hunt. Chastanov at the moment out in front of Thomas Hinds. He is being hounded by Cam Dance. He has got numerous titles under his belt. So quite a few accolades, and I'm sure he'd love to add one more, and he's going to do everything he can to try and stop Thomas Hinds from taking this one out.
Chastanov took the lead. Lap 1, turn 2 at Griffin's Bend, and he's managed to hold it ever since. Not looking like he wanted to take that race lead away. Dance is getting a little friskier here. Showed the nose at the top of the hill. Might do it again. Try to make a move at the bottom of the hill. It becomes tough to pass in what becomes a little bit of a DRS train here as they approach the rev limiter in 6th gear. But Hinds is finally going for it. Dance is going to follow him. They're all super close off the elbow. Hinds in front. Dance now for 2nd place, looking to go round the outside of the chase. Shasti gets in super hot, just leaves space for Hinds. Respectful driving, but it is super close and millimeters away from disaster here. 2 by 2 to take 2 laps to go. Chasti's going to look to defend that race lead like he did in race number 1, coming back at them out of the chase. He's going to have to defend it into turn 1. He's going to have to defend it into turn 2. The leaders, your top 3, know what to do. They want to win this race. Shepherd might be a little conflicted back there.
Yeah, our in-house statistician Brady Baldwin is on hand, and he's telling us that Thomas Hinds simply has to finish. He can actually drop behind these top 3 and just take out the championship, but he is not willing to do that. He wants to walk away after 12 rounds and have a final win under his belt. He is pushing.
Goes out wide in Griffin's Bend. Dance sneaks back through underneath for 2nd place. He finally takes a deep breath there. He's in a 2nd to challenge Chastity for the win here as well now. Finally, the fireworks are going off. The fuse is lit for the top 3.
You see a little bit of a smirk and a cheeky smile from Cam Dance as he pulled that one off. We are on board looking at Thomas Hinds at the moment. He doesn't have a great sense of threat about him on his face. He's all focused on catching these guys in front again, putting on a hell of a show here on Simspeed TV. We have 2 laps to go, and he is going to do everything he can to make this as exciting and dramatic finish as he possibly can.
2 more times down Conrod straight for Chastity to try to defend this race win. Hinds, is it almost tactical to be back in 4th? Does he know it's enough for him. What is he going to try to do on this final lap? Chastaneuf goes right, goes left. He says, hello, Robbo, and he turns in to the chase. But Dance has massive speed to try to fight around the outside, maybe to try to swap back like Chastaneuf has done a couple times in the exit of the chase. There's some drama further back at the elbow. There is one more lap of racing for the leaders, for the championship, and for Ozicar F4, 6.2 kilometers in the mountain.
Crossing the line, Barney waving in the white flag furiously on the driver's right-hand side, making their way through turn 1. Critical, we get a good drive out of here, and that's exactly what James Chastaneuf has failed to do. Out on the grass, he's given Cam Dance an absolute sniff, and you don't need to give Cam a second opportunity. He moves to the left and goes for the pass on the outside. We have seen a couple of drivers try and pull that off tonight, and unless you're well and truly in the clear, it's very, very hard to do. They go side by side. Cam Dance found himself out in the marbles, and he has lost another position. That's Brody Shepherd up to second. Just when you thought things couldn't get any more complex in the championship standings, there is now a buffer between Cam Dance in P3 and James Chastaneuf in P2.
Chastity holds on to that lead using the inside of Griffin's Bend. Dance finds that the outside doesn't work and he just kissed the wall, but it looks like he'll be able to continue. Shepherd gets more free real estate and he smells a win on the cards for him potentially in the final race here. Dance right back into it. Hins giving them a respectful half a second. You cannot pass there, Cam. Oh, these guys nearly ending in tears across Skyline. Gordon Cox eating your heart out on that one. Give Chastaneuf a little bit of breathing room potentially into the elbow. Dance pushing Shepherd along on the final lap here.
Cam Dance not willing to throw this one in. He's sacrificing a little bit of speed to put pressure on Brody Shepherd in P2. He moves to the right-hand side, which gives him the inside for the kink before the chase, which of course puts him on the outside for the all-important run through to the final sector of the race. Side by side, 2 wide for battle second and third on the track. Cam Dance has held it around the outside and looks like he's got his nose in front.
Shepherd wide sees Hins come through into third on the final lap in the final sector here. Chastaneuf is going to take the win in the final race. Dance is going to sit second, and third place gives Thomas Hins the Ozicar F4 Championship.
Well, we promised excitement after race number 1, and race number 2 has delivered exactly that. But in the background, we still have some drivers battling for position. The car 822, that is Dennis Hancock. He's followed across the line by Warren Henry in that very, very distinctive rainbow-coloured paint scheme. Barney waving the checkered flag there. This is the little battle for 10th and 11th. This is Banks and Darren Shannon, 13th and 14th. Banks managing to make his way back through the field reasonably well through race number 2. Had a little bit of traffic to contend with, but had plenty of speed on his side to do the job.
Well, there he is. He knew what he needed to do. He knew that third would seal the job. And he was justifiably very, very pleased with it. On the cool down lap now, I wager there's enough fuel in that F4 still for a celebratory Bathurst.
Yeah, well, it tends to be a tradition. It doesn't matter whether you're driving the V8 Supercar, the GT3s, an open wheeler with delay downforce. It tends to be a celebrationary jump at the end of most of the races here at this iconic circuit, and it looks like they're all piling up together to put on a highlight reel for potentially another promo.
He joins us now. Thomas Hins, you're the Ozicar F4 champion. Congratulations.
Thanks, thanks, Hainsey. Thanks, man. That was, yeah, that went perfectly. That really did. Yeah, I first race, it sort of was, the plan was to try and, finish as high as I could just to relieve the pressure in the second race, so I could just sort of drop back and bail if I had to, if we had a big, lead pack. So, yeah, managed to sort of set up Chastity nicely, got the move done, and got the win, which is cool to get the last win of the season in the last rounds. Really good. And then, yeah, the second race. Sorry, what's up?
Is the jump on here?
Oh, jump. I didn't think of that. I was going to do donuts, but we might as well do the jump. Why not? I think everyone else is doing this, so I might as well. So we'll do mid-interview jump.
Yeah, enjoy it. Talk us through it.
Well, I've never done it in the F4. I tried it in the DBR9 recently, and that didn't go well. So we'll see how this goes. It's very. I'm going to feel this very hard. Oh yeah, that's a little bit rough. Oh, I don't think I've got speed. No, I don't. Oh, yep. No, it's. I'm on my wheels, but I think the car's a bit stuffed. Oh yeah, I just hit someone as well. Yeah. Oh, yep. Hang on, mate. Do I still have power? No, I don't. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Nice bit of action to finish. That was good. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, second race. Yeah, I was trying to set up chastity and sort of got a bit leery there. Cam was sort of trying to give me a bit of a bump draft, and I just sort of figured, I didn't need to win it to win the championship, so I just sort of went nuts. Or I'll let them fight it out, and I'll just sit here and pick up the pieces. And yeah, managed to snag a podium at the very end. So yeah, winning at a podium on the last 2 races went perfectly. So yeah, very, very happy.
You consider wearing a heart rate monitor for any of those races. You're in the pack for the lead. You know that a finish is a necessity, and goodness, they race close and they race hard in this car.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, it was definitely it was very nerve-wracking the whole time, but it was a little annoying because I wasn't at the end of the pack in either of them actually, so I couldn't really just bail and move out of the way, because then that would just probably cause more dramas because it'd be unpredictable. So the predictable thing was to just keep in it. So I didn't exactly want, but it worked out, and thankfully in the end it was actually kind of a good thing. Cam got the run there, and Cam and Brody went through because I could just lift off and let them go and then just sit there. So they ended up working out pretty well. So yeah, it definitely made it a bit more stressful than I maybe was hoping for. But yeah, it all worked out, so it's all good.
12 rounds across 24 weeks, a pretty long championship as far as Aussie car can be considered. You stayed the distance, you had some great races, some great results. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, awesome. And a big thanks to Ira for the series. He did an awesome job that he always does. And when you saw the racing all season, it was fantastic. So yeah, really, really good stuff.
Enzi, before you go, I see you got the Daniel Ricciardo t-shirt on. I was half hoping we might have seen a shoey to celebrate a championship. You've all got a drink in your hand. I'm sure there's a shoe nearby somewhere.
Not a clean one. So and this is only lemonade. Unfortunately, I've got to head to work in like an hour-ish, I think. I think that's the time, isn't it? Oh yeah, about an hour and a bit. So I can't really drink anything, annoyingly. I could maybe sneak one in. Maybe I'll sneak one in just for celebratory purposes. But yeah, so unfortunately I can't be drinking like I normally would because of the alcohol name. But yeah, no, not this time. Sorry to disappoint. But hey, at least the Daniel Ricciardo shirt, that's something. That's a good shirt. So
Yeah,
yeah,
good
I'll take
omens.
that. Exactly, yeah. Thanks, Danny Rick. I'll thank you on that one.
Thanks, Enzi.
Mm.
Well, there we go. A worthy champion, and he seems justifiably elated with it. We've got a couple of other folk to speak to as we wrap up this Ozicar F4 Championship. How about the race to winner, James Chastanoff? A lot of pressure on you in that one, mate, and somehow behind you, they couldn't challenge it.
Yeah, thanks guys. They were playing games for most of it, so I knew it wasn't too much pressure for most of the race. It was only the last few laps. It was more of a, when are they going to start trying to make the move, pretty much. Yeah, struggling out of the elbow, so every time Dan Conrad's straight, they always seem to have a little bit of an advantage on me. So yeah, when Cam sort of had a crack at Brody and built back up, but yeah, that really helps for that last bit. So yeah, no, I'm really happy.
How do you sum up this championship, this car, the competitors?
Yeah, really awesome and fun, really. That's more than anything else, and I think that's sort of the Ozicar way, is to have fun with people, learn how other people drive as well, so you're pretty much all in tune, and then you can just battle back and forth, and you know exactly where everyone's going to be and what kind of moves they're going to make at certain corners, so you know how to position yourself. And, yeah, by the end of the season, it's just I think everyone was pretty much in tune with each other. We were racing pretty close in the last few rounds, and yeah, there wasn't really many incidents at all between us. So yeah, it's just awesome fun, and yeah, it's great to just put on a show.
Is a win around the mountain any more special than anywhere else?
Yeah, a little bit. I find it really hard to win here just because of the elbow. I don't know what it is about the way I drive, but I just cannot seem to get it right, and it gives me a bit of a disadvantage not having the run down Conrad straight. So I always struggle to get wins here in pretty much anything, supercars, officials, or skip barbers, or anything else that I've tried, GT3s. Yeah, it's always struggled to get a win here. So yeah, get one against the likes of Cam Dance and Thomas Inns is it's pretty good too. So, and Brody Shepherd as well, right up there at the front. So yeah, no, it's pretty cool to get a win.
Jay Kennedy wants to point out this is your second time with a race winners interview on Simspeed in as many days. So making a habit of it, Chief?
Yeah, I managed to crack a win in the V8 Americas too on Saturday, so I've made it 3 days, 3 wins. So it's been pretty good. It was good racing last night. Much less carnage tonight, which was really good to see. So yeah, no, it's a little bit of a good patch at the moment, but yeah, it's just been really fun racing at the moment. So yeah, just really enjoying it.
Well, hopefully we'll catch you again for future editions of Ozicar Racing, and anyone you want to thank.
Yeah, it's big thanks to you guys for running the show, and Ira for running this whole championship and sticking with it, and trying to sort out the field and get everyone up to speed with these cars. It was a little bit of a mess to begin with at the start of the season. It was quite hard, but yeah, towards the end of the season, it's just been absolutely awesome. So with the new car, that sort of comes with it. So yeah, no, big thanks to everyone who running the league. Nathan Burney, my teammate as well. I think we might have got the team's championship as well with that. So yeah, big thanks to Nathan Burney, the Locked On boys as well. All the BAR guys who we're racing with as well, all our sponsors. I'll just say our major ones: Bay 21 Coffee, VFS Vehicle Finance Solutions, and One Sport. Big thanks to all those guys, and yeah, thanks to the rest of the field as well this season. It's been really fun.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
That's the first time I've ever called him James. It felt so weird. Jason, I reckon we'll pick Cam Dance and you can have a word with the Kiwi.
Yeah, I'd suggest the only time anyone ever calls him James is when he's either his mum's angry with him or his girlfriend's angry with him. So Chastity there taking the win in race number 2. But Mr. Hollywood, Cam Dance, joins us in the commentary booth to talk about putting on a show. Everything on the line. We saw a cheeky smile there in the dying laps as you managed to get past Hinsey going through turn number 2, I think it was, on the dying lap. And getting an opportunity there to challenge for the win. And of course, you took it right to the checkered flag for us to put on a heck of a show tonight, mate.
Yeah, it was just the way this car's draft works. It's very hard to sort of get a run on the guys in front of you, especially if you're like the second or third car back, because of just the fact you don't get the same amount of slipstream. So a little bit of a disappointment not to win either race, but no, hey, look, it was a really good race, and we all sort of came out the other side in the end of the day. So that's the main thing, to be honest, and it's been a really good season like that as well. So yeah, props to obviously Chastity and Hinsey and Brody as well. All really good battles all night long.
Yeah, well, two races tonight, 9 laps apiece, and you were in the mix from the moment the light went green in both of them. I did notice you didn't put in a practice time. You were in the server quite a period before qualifying, and then of course qualifying came about. Had a half a second lead on the field after the first qualifying lap, so you showed your dominance. And I was just wondering whether a few mind games were being played in the background.
To be honest, after the fact we'd done racing here earlier in the year, it wasn't really much different, to be honest. It was literally I'll use that as my practice more or less. So yeah, no, hey, look, mind games, but at the same time it's like I know what I'm doing, so it's not going to be too hard. I'm pretty comfortable with this car now, so I can pretty much rock up to any sort of racetrack and go, yeah, this say you get around here at this sort of speed sort of thing.
Yeah, well, you definitely look comfortable tonight. There was quite a bit of mind games being played throughout the course of the race, where we saw drivers pulling out of the slipstream of the car in front to potentially not give the tow to the cars behind as well. So I think both Chastity, yourself and Hinsey were doing that throughout the course of the race. But more importantly, it come down to the final lap and the final race here tonight. Had a really good run on car 2 tonight in I've got a brain fade. No, the driver who Brody, coming out of Forest Elbow, you basically pushed him through and getting a really good run down the Conrod Straight, and you showed some great straight line speed.
Yeah, it was looking like it was going to be a bit touch and go, to be honest, with the gap we had to Chesty. I was kind of hoping that we were going to get close enough to him, but no, ended up getting a really, really good run. I actually wanted to try go around the outside of the Skyline, but that didn't quite work out, and with how much the gap was closing, I was like, well, I probably want to back out of this. So yeah, it was going to be interesting to see what happened. I actually thought he was going to get the run with the fact he had Chesty's draft, but no, not quite. We just had enough momentum on our side to manage to get the overtake done around the outside, and obviously with that inside curve as well being a little bit of a danger spot for this car, especially. I did sort of half wonder if he was going to sort of bounce out towards me and make contact, but nah, we kept it all clean. We all managed to come out the other side, so yeah, again, really, really good racing.
Yeah, well, that's what it did. Aussie cars proved that for the last 12 weeks. Doesn't matter what track we went to, whether it was a sprint race, an endurance race, or otherwise. It was a great show that everybody put on throughout the course of the season, and everybody out there should be pretty proud of the efforts they've done over the last 12 weeks.
Yeah, 100%. It's started off a little bit rough at the start. We had guys crashing and doing silly things and that sort of stuff, but in the end, you had that core group of guys who hang around, and obviously everybody gets to know each other as far as how to race each other. So yeah, it ends up really clean, and it's been really, really good so far for the second half of the season at least.
All right, mate, I'm sure you'll be pretty keen to climb out of the cockpit now. It's been a busy night for you, and you've walked away with a great points haul, and third in the championship is definitely nothing to sneeze at. So congratulations on that. I'm sure you'll take it away with still a smile on your face, great memories, and the fact that you put on a hell of an effort.
Yeah, I mean, third's not just anything to be disappointed at by any means. I mean, still, it's a really, really, really competitive championship. Like, it was extremely close the whole way through it, to be honest, and like, there was just nothing in it as far as points goes between me, Chasty, and Hinsey. So, yeah, look, we're all deserving of where we ended up. It was a really, really close fight. So, yeah, everybody deserved where they ended up, to be honest, and looking forward to seeing what maybe happening next season.
Alright, that's third place championship getter and second place in our race 2 tonight, feature race here at Bathurst Formula 4. That wraps up our Formula 4 series. James Chastanoff taking the win. Cam Dance right on the second behind him. Championship winner Thomas Hinds in third. And then, of course, Brody Shepherd through everything, including the kitchen sink, to try and sneak a podium there at the final race in P4. Some stellar performances there, Dave. I'll let you run through the rest of the field.
Yeah, so the results from our final race there, you see our championship contenders occupying the top 3 spots once again, but Hinds coming away with that championship. You said Brody Shepherd, Russell Clark, Brody Tressida, Nathan Verney, Sean Doyle, David Baz, and Dennis Hancock through to the top 10. Across the page, Ben Wheeler, Warren Henry, Darren Shannon, Liam Banks, Ira Felberg, Tristan Moore, Darren Lasue, John Snell, Luke Quist, Andrew Ritchie, still just squeaking onto the lead lap in 20th. And Scott Harvey a lap down with his damage, and Philip Howe doesn't look like he took the start. As we close the chapter, but maybe not necessarily the book, on Ozicar F4, we're going to have a word with the man who makes it all happen. So Ira Felberg is going to join us for a chat then. Ira, your feelings at the conclusion of this championship? It must be like watching your baby graduate high school or something.
Yeah, it's not too different to that actually. It's it's a lot different obviously when you're a league owner, and you know, I've been doing it for a few years now, so it's like having a baby. There's always a bit of teething problems, especially when you change over to a new car, and it was a bit rough at the start, mainly because I think just a lot of people, and a few of those people don't have respect for the others around them, but we've seen it all 3 or 4 times before, and it soon settled down, and it was really nice in the green room there, waiting with the other lads, all commenting about, you know, how good a group it was, and that, you know, to be able to race close like that, like they were tonight, you know, you need the right people. So yeah, it's a bit of a process, but we got there in the end. It was probably a little bit too long, but you know, that's how you figure these things out. I'd never tried a 12-week season before, so we'll probably go back to 6-week seasons after Christmas, but also I think the fortnightly thing worked. But yeah, it's a good fun car. It's taken everyone a little while to get used to the car as well. I think there's that. But it's super close racing, and yeah, it's a good fun car. Probably missed a little bit on some of the track choices as well, I think. But I definitely learnt something there. So yeah, next season we'll have a few announcements, but I think with a slightly better track choice, it'll make the racing like better. But yeah, it was pretty good. I'm very happy.
So tell us then, what has our champion won, and where can people go to make sure they stay up to date with Ozicar going forward?
So Thomas has won himself some laps. I just told him there in the green room, which we advertised at the start of the series. He's won some laps in a Formula Ford at Eastern Creek, which he's pretty excited about. He's had a big week, as you guys probably already know. He got engaged yesterday, I think. Won the series today and won some laps, and he's never really driven anything like that before, just karts. So he's like pretty excited about that. And the best place for anybody to keep in touch with what's going on in Ozicar is on the website, ozicar.net, and there's links there to the socials as well as Discord, which is kind of where all the drivers chat. But yeah, ozicar.net is the website, and we'll have some announcements. So the F4s will be starting back after Christmas. A little bit of a break. We'll probably have a few fun races coming up, and then I've got to talk to Jay to confirm a date, but we have the, I think it's the 3rd or the 4th annual Tin Top Cup that we've been having about a week or two before Christmas, like a big tin top race, and it's the last couple of years they've been really good, like 50 cars. It's normally about like a sort of hour and a half endurance race, so that's free to enter as well. That'll be free to enter, and it will be broadcast on Simspeed, but yeah, I'll confirm that with Jay, and the details for that will be up on the website in the next week or so.
On a slightly more personal note, I think you might have cracked the top 10 in the standings.
Yeah, I did. Oh well, what can I say? Thanks for noticing. It's a bit, it's funny. It's one of those things. Like, obviously, a lot of people didn't do all the rounds. I'm not sure how many actually did all the rounds, but it's kind of, I kind of try to like to use myself as an example, right? Because here's the thing about racing, it's only really a couple people that are quick, right? Everybody else is just mid-pack or backpackers, and a lot of people, you know, you can get frustrating because you can't win. So I try to teach people, right, that you don't have to be that quick, but if you're consistent, and look, I got beat up in the first 4 or 5 rounds. I probably could have finished higher, to be honest, but that's just part of racing as well. And I'll give myself a little bit of a shameless plug. So I went back racing real karts this year, and yeah, I've finished, I think it's either 2nd or 3rd in the points for tag 125 medium, and that's out of about 30, 35, 40 drivers, and I'm not that quick. Like, I'm mid-pack, I'm never at the front, but I finished every heat, like all year. I didn't have any DNFs, and you know, that's part of what racing is about, is just being consistent, and you know, you don't have to be that quick to get good results. And look, I think we had 57 people or something did at least a couple of races this season. So yeah, I just hope that encourages people to you know, like, I'm just an old boy putting around the back having fun, and even today, you know, my qualifying, like, I sucked. Like, I was so far off the pace it wasn't funny, but you know, I worked my way up to like 11th, I think it was, in the first race. So yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that. But yeah, hopefully it'll inspire people to, you know, you don't have to be that quick. It's racing's about being consistent, and you know, even the fast guys only win sometimes. So yeah, it's more about participation, and that's one thing I really learnt from the karts this year, that, you know, it really did just bring home for me the fact that racing is about participation. It's not about winning all the time.
Well, Ira, click the feed if you need to, but send us out. Who gets Ozicar done?
So just want to obviously thank all you guys for making us look good. You and Jason, commentary is always on point, and Jay behind the scenes, best in the business in my opinion, and many other people's. And just want to thank the sponsors, obviously Locked On Lads, Sim Racing Leagues, which is a website for anyone who's got a league. You can go there and register your website, your league, so people can search for it. And also just want to thank Chaz Mostert for his support through the No Social Hate campaign. And last but definitely not least, Prestige Trophy and Badge, who do a lot of trophies actually for real life racing as well, and they've now been with Ozicar for about three or 4 years now. So yeah, just really want to thank those people, because without them and you guys, none of this happens. So yeah, just thanks everybody. It's been a great season, and you know, the racing's actually been pretty good. It took a little while to get there, but yeah, it's been good. So yeah, mad respect to everybody involved. Thank you.
That's all from the mountain, and that's all from Ozicar Formula 4 Series. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations to our race winners, Thomas Hinz and James Chastanoff, and our season champion, Thomas Hinz.
This is fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?